Hey, welcome to this new part of the speedrun tutorial, so broken bridge level. So I will show you, of course, easier strats first, and then the hard version with a reverse drop shoot straight to the exit in out of bounds. But it requires a whole lot more work to get consistent at it, so I recommend the easier strats first. So for the easy strat, the out of bounds exit we will use is a hole behind the pillar, the one under the history lesson platform. So I will show you first in Journeyish what it looks like. You can see the ending platform in here, and the out of bounds exit is just in here. Behind the pillar there is a little platform and a hole on the north, and there you enter out of bounds. So now back in Journey, the idea is to get to the pillar. So you can jump from the platform or walk from it. You know, you can do a little drop shoot, little boost if you want. And then you try to charge a bit of energy to get the height required. And then the idea is to dive against the pillar, like so. And there you are out of bounds. So the entrance is a little under this lowest window, but you can see there is some wind rejecting me, which is why to manage to enter you need to either be boosting or at least diving like I showed just before. So you can of course boost with the camera up, which is probably faster like this, but if you have a weak boost, you may not have enough speed to dive into out of bounds, and you know, you need to fall in here, but it's hard without the speed. So yeah, make sure to manage well your boosting energy. So let's show it again once. I do my drop shoot. You can chirp to slow down if you want to charge some more. And there you go. You enter north, just like that. And here you can start a charge boost. So a charge boost, basically you hold jump, you push the camera down continuously, and as you do so, try to move a little to the right, like I do. Because if you stay on the left, it will be hard for the boost. So you can charge a little bit, like about 7 flaps maybe is good enough, and when you're ready you just aim the camera up and you go to the exit like so. You need the boost because you cannot climb this portion in here. There is a wind wall, as you can see. The wind is pushing me back. Try to get familiar with this area in out of bounds and the invisible walls. The exit is just north here, but on my right here there is another invisible wall, and sometimes you can get stuck like on the right side of it, like so. And it's hard to hit the exit from the right side. The idea is to dive on the left of it, which is why when you enter here you aim like so, and then you turn to the north, more or less. So let's show again the charge boost. So I do a few flaps like this, I move a bit to the right like so, and then I aim the camera fully up, and I dive again in here, going to aim for the exit. So you may have seen I don't really jump too early because it takes me a bit of time to aim the camera fully up, and when doing so my character is still in contact with the sand, so I wait until I am in the air to let go of the jump button. To get out of this place, by the way, you go out of Headbonkers, so you look at these 2 little rocks ahead of you, and there is a hole just on top of them, like so. And this way you can try again the trick. Let's show a full example with this strategy. So you start the dive, you can chop the flyers, little boost if you want, and then you try to charge a sort of boost. So I think it's safer to boost towards the camera like this. You turn it sideways and you boost. This way you are sure you will have the speed by diving like so. Because oh, a better jump. Okay, I made it. I was on the little platform you've seen in Journeyish. And then you start your charge boost. I didn't count my flaps, but you should. It also depends on how much remaining boost power you had, how long you need to charge for the charge boost, but I think around 7 flaps is a good estimation. If I remember well, I think this OOB exit was discovered by Apno, and Banj was the first one to use it in his speedruns because he had troubles with the RDS aiming at Headbonkers. So for a while he was using this, and it's only like 5 seconds slower than the hardcore version, so it's really worth to learn it. feel free to watch all the runs from Bange using this exit, or Murray Chalala and a few others. So now let's get you familiar with Headbonkers cave entrance for the hardcore strategy. So it's just right of the mural on the right. So you look at these two little rocks in here, and to enter you just position yourself between them and you just hold jump. 2 and 3. And there you are. And you can enter back inbounds by just falling like so. Alright, easy. So this entrance, as you can see on this screenshot from Journish, is just a little triangle in the texture. It's a hole, really. You can just slide in and out very easily. The easier way to use this exit would be to just jump in the rock. So you have no clear visual indication as to where is the triangle exactly. So it just takes practice to look again and again at this rock, so one over my head, and over time you will be able to know exactly where you need to jump. It's somewhere around here. See? So once OOB, you cannot climb the northern wall in here, because the wind rejects you, like so, which is why we were doing a charge boost with the previous strategy. So instead, if you're on foot, maybe as a backup plan, what you could do is climb north. So you aim just left of this mural, so for the sandfall in here, and you walk fully forward. You can jump, the camera changes, but you keep walking forward until you arrive in here, so you can climb on foot. And there, when you're high enough, you can just drop to the exit on the left. So this is a backup, but like so. But I would never recommend you do the out of bounds by walking. You are learning a glitch speedrun, and the whole point is doing fancy flying, you know. So now the full strategy would be to reach Headbonkers with a reverse drop shoot. So we could reach it with just a drop shoot, and it actually would be the best strategy, because there is no boost power that is lost during the transition from a drop shoot to a reverse drop shoot, because when we flatten the camera we lose a bit of boost. But it's extremely hard to maintain a good camera angle for so long and then to aim for Headbonkers. Like, I'm not sure if the drop shoot is a viable strat. I never managed to make it work, at least. Which is why Headbonkers, which gives a very good camera angle, and when you get it, it's way more easy to maintain it for a long time to get a good boost. So now I will teach you the full strategy for Headbonkers cave entrance after a reverse drop shoot when you're beginner or not used to it. So it would go like this. You walk off the platform, start a dive, you flatten the camera a bit to aim for the flyers, and then you flick both sticks like this to start a reverse drop shoot. If you don't know what I did there, just watch my reverse drop shoot tutorial where I explain this movement of diving, turning the camera sideways, and then reverting the camera up and the left stick towards you to start the reverse dive, and then the RDS, you know. I explained this movement already, so I won't repeat it all. So I'll show it once again. So dive, you aim for the flyers, big chirps, you turn the camera sideways, and you flick both sticks like this, and you can start your RDS when you touch the sand, start chirping to slow down and stuff. Okay? If you don't like this way of starting the RDS, there is another way, just like Bragel does in his scarfless run, the 18-17. He does a drop shoot on the left instead of going for the flyers. Then he turns the camera fully sideways, and he reverses both sticks like this. It's exactly the same thing, but instead of doing the camera movement in the air during the dive, he does it during a drop shoot. So once you're in RDS, it's very hard to know where you're going in reverse. So the idea is to have some visual cues, and your visual cues here will be the pillars. So you will just walk on the left of it, like so. You walk in a straight line, try to not get too close, like stay a bit on the left like this. And when you get in your vision the last pillar platform, here you will be timed to turn the camera sideways, so keep the left stick fully towards you, you know, to get a good charge. When doing this, you do big chirps to slow down if it's your first few tries, because it will all go so fast. Really do a lot of big chirps to get very slow. So you turn the camera like this, you move away from the pillar, and then you will go try to aim for the exit. So you will try to recognize this rock. You know, it's like a big thing, and then on top of it there is another big rocky part. so it's easy to recognize this rock ahead of me. And this is your visual cue that Headbonkers is just after it. So when you reach here, you know it will be time to turn the camera like this and aim for Headbonkers, which is just in here. And before I show you an example of this, this is actually a very good place because whenever you fail, it's good to get back to the top of the platform to try again the RDS. And this way you can practice a drop shoot here, getting a good boost. You can do drops to slow down like I do. And train to reach this platform like so. I think it's a good practice. So now let's show the RDS. So you can do your jump or walk off the platform, you do your chirp, turn the camera, you reverse both sticks, and then you start chirping. Okay, RDS. So you move alongside the pillars, like so. Okay. Try not to get too close to them. Here I see the last pillar. So I try to turn a bit away from it like so. I recognize the big rocky part I mentioned over my head, and then I can aim for Headbonkers. Okay, it went pretty fast as you saw, right? Over time you will recognize the environment better, and you will be able to guide yourself better based on the rocks on the right and the pillars, but it's not easy at first. When you try to enter Headbonkers, it's good to be aware you can get stuck between the northern wall and the out of bounds exit, the triangle. So as you see in Journish here, I drew the area where you can get stuck sometimes. To avoid this, when you start your boost, you can't be too close to the northern wall like this. If you start boosting like so, it will be a fail. You need to get a little away from it first, like around here, and then you boost towards it. And so you need to estimate the distance, and that's not very easy to do. Whenever you get close to the exit, it's when you will chirp like crazy, do very big chirp, slow down, and time the exact moment you are at a good distance to start the boost. So if you start your boost from a bit more right, it's possible to slide your head under the wall like this a little while and then find the entrance. But if you do this, maybe try to turn the camera sideways so you always aim fully north with the camera. I find that I get better results when I'm looking right at the mountain to enter OOB rather than having the camera sideways. Every time I enter Headbonkers, I tap jump once. You can slide in just like so without jumping, but most of the time you won't hit exactly the entrance. You will be a little left, right, or you know. So if you tap jump, it helps you slide in. If you have watched my reverse drop shoot tutorial, you'll know when we get to RDS, it's a very good idea to do a jump to get the good RDS animation. I won't repeat myself much, but like this, so you land, you do a jump, and you start your RDS like this. Because you will immediately start with a good RDS animation, and the camera will be angled in an ideal way, while otherwise you will need to do many big chirps until the camera is nicely positioned and you move slowly. You have more control over where you're going. I will show another example trying to not chirp too much, to not slow down too much. So there, reverse drop shoot, so I hit the ground, I do my jump, and then RDS, alright, good RDS animation. Here the ground is a little hole, it usually flattens the camera, so you can chirp a bit to slow down, and then you aim for here, you do big chirps, and you go for it and jump. So there you may have noticed when boosting, I did something interesting. As soon as I've entered out of bounds, so I tapped jump once to help entering. When I was OOB, I flattened my camera a little bit and then put it back up again. So you can do this very lightly or not at all, but there is a risk of hitting this rock in here, this rock piece. And look at this clip in here where I hit my head, and I do this just to avoid that. But if you never have this occur to you, don't bother flattening the camera like I do, it's pointless. It depends on your trajectory in out of bounds. Feel free to always overcharge a bit and get a really powerful boost at first when learning this strategy, because many things will go wrong. It's extremely hard, especially if you try to do it fast. So sometimes your boost won't be good enough to reach the very top, like you will get pushed back by the wind. So if this happens, I suggest you do like I did, you aim for the left side of the sandfall. Because here you can get a grip of the sand in here more easily than in the middle here, where the wind will push you back. And you can usually climb your way up back in here. So for the ending drop shoot, it's important to note that in here you are using your boost energy until you hit the ending trigger. Even if you feel like you are drop shooting, usually the camera angle is too flat for you to be charging energy, and if you run out of boost you will just slow down. So basically don't bother trying a good drop shoot, like you can boost with the camera fully flat until the exit. Just make sure you are not too high up, otherwise you will go over this platform, and you just need to go under it with a flat camera angle until the exit. I think in Reby's PB on PS5 he touches the exit on the right of this invisible wall and it still works. It works if you have enough speed, but if you run out of boost you will usually end up over the trigger and you won't manage to make it a success. Okay, now I think you are ready to learn about the one and only real secret to making the RDS a success. So I will let Ava teach you what it is. Have a look. So yeah, you can look at every speedrunner out there. I think we all to a certain degree RDS like this. I don't know why, but it's a reflex we all have. Maybe it is what makes RDS work. And now that you know this, you will be a professional in no time, of course. Okay, time to show you a full example now, again, with all that you have learned now. So you chirp, and then you flick to get into an RDS, you do the bounce, chirp, and up. So I usually do a baby chirp when I'm getting into RDS. It's useless, but I like to do this little chirp. Alright, so you avoid the big rock, and you aim, boom, jump once. I flatten my camera a little bit, and I boost very close to the sand, to the exit, just like so. So I think really it's very hard to aim nicely in here, because you need to boost just over the sand and flatten your camera back down early. Like if you do it too late, you will hit this part. So yeah, it takes a bit of practice to manage to boost very low without touching the ground, because if you touch the sand during the boost, you will get slowed down. So in the past, before the behind pillar entrance was found, people used another out of bounds exit in OOB, which I will show, but I don't recommend it, since now you can use the pillar, which is better. So basically you would charge a good boost with an RDS, chirping a lot, and then you boost, and the idea was to aim for this sound falling here. There is a, like you can enter behind it like so. And then in out of bounds you could go for the exit by hitting this northern wall just ahead of me. Now that I have explained everything about the RDS, it's time to explain you advanced strategies for the runners who've done a few runs already and would want to take the RDS to a new level. So as soon as you get control of the character at the start of the level, you want to jump off the platform instead of walking off it, because it's a half a second faster. You will have one jump less in the scarf, so it may be a bit harder to reach the flyers, but not much, you know. And then you of course flatten the camera a bit to aim for the flyers. So now the next tip I would like you to work on is a transition from a dive into a reverse dive, because this transition makes you lose a bit of boost energy, and if you don't want to lose too much, the transition has to be quite smooth, and you don't have to spend a lot of time with the flat camera angle. Like, you need to go from the dive to the reverse dive position rather quickly. So depending on whether you play on PC or on PS4, it will be different, because you know, on PS4 you can't move the camera diagonally fast, so it's better to first turn it to the side and then put it up, like you can see many PS4 runners do, for example. But me on PC, I try to optimize this movement the best I can, and for this I usually start turning it very slightly to the right like so during the dive, after I chop the flyers, and then I move diagonally, so I aim it up and continue moving it to the side at the same time, and I move the left stick back towards me the moment my camera is aiming in a possible reverse dive position, like when it aims already a bit above the horizon line. Basically, I try to do this transition in a straight line. It looks a bit like this. Do the chirp, turn a bit sideways, and left stick towards me. See? You don't want to spend much time wasting boost. I suggest you have a look at this clip, which is the most ideal way I've managed to make the RDS transition. In it I lost very few boost power. The key element is always making sure the camera aims over the horizon line before I put the left stick towards me. When I was trying to put the left stick toward me before the camera aimed enough up, usually I would run out of boost. So let's show the little comparison. PS4 style. Something like this, most likely. Up, you flick both sticks. And you can see the character. It does this little movement in the air to get into a reverse dive. While for me, it goes fully in a straight line. Now the next thing you want to work on for the RDS to get a really good trajectory is, instead of following the pillars and then moving away from the last one to aim more easily, you try to go completely in a straight line towards Headbonkers exit. This is very hard because, as you see here, if you do this, you have a huge gap just in here, the ground base. And the camera will be completely fucked up in here. We have a way to get rid of this problem without requiring to do a lot of big chirps, and it is to turn the camera to the side. So basically, as you RDS towards the camera, you will turn the camera so it aims a bit to the right, where the pillars are, and at the same time you will push the left stick a bit to the right, like so. So it will reduce the maximum boost power, and which is why it's very risky and you can't do it too much. So it's usually after I go past this third pillar, when I see it arrives on my screen, is when I will turn the camera sideways and move like so. And then after I go past the gap, I put the camera normally again to make sure I charge nicely the remaining boost energy before getting into Headbonkers, and from then onward I try to avoid putting my left stick in any side direction, because I will be having more boost power and I will risk losing it if I turn the left stick sideways. Well, in here it's early enough to do this thing. I'm not moving head on in the dune like this. My character is facing a bit like this, so the ground is a little more flat actually. And here it's very hard, but you need to go directly at Headbonkers, and for this I just look at the wall. So I look at them a bit diagonally like this, and I get away from them, and it just takes practice. So many times a mistake you will do is you will hit your head right on, boom, this rock in here, and when you hit this, it's game over. If you hit it on the left side like this, it can be fine, but if you hit the right side of this rock, it's game over. So you need to get enough away, but not too far away, and when you get here and you recognize this big rock, so when you will do big chirps, you turn the camera like this, you try to get away from the wall, and when you are at the right distance, you boost. So I'll show what it looks like now. Chirp the flyers, try to do a smooth transition, bounce, RDS. And when I see the pillar, camera sideways like so, and I try to aim. And boom, straight to the trigger, and I empty my boost just when I touch the trigger. That's the goal you want. As you saw, I did hit my head in this little rock there before turning the camera away from it and boosting, and it works fine, it's no big deal. Same way you can hit it lightly there, it's just the left side here that you really want to avoid. So I usually try to start my RDS rather early, because if I do it like this, I will have more time to get a camera under the body of the wayfarer when I go past this pillar, and it will ensure I can put my left stick sideways without losing boost power, because it depends on the camera angle, and you need to make sure it aims enough up. And if it doesn't, you can do a chirp or two when near it to, you know, slow down, make sure the camera gets a bit better, and then you will have no problem putting the left stick a bit sideways, and you won't lose any boost when doing this. And you will also make sure you have a better contact with the ground on this little ravine. You have no idea how much practice it takes to make this strategy consistent. So I really don't recommend learning this straight trajectory at first. It's really a lot of practice to make it work. Now a full example, I would hold jump to avoid losing half a second at the start by walking. Then I flatten the camera as soon as I start diving, just a bit. Try to do a smooth transition, a bounce, and RDS. So make sure the camera is aiming nicely here, or chirp a bit once or twice to, otherwise the left stick sideways will reduce your boost if the camera is badly positioned. And then you aim for the exit, avoid hitting my head, and start the dive here towards the exit, just like so, okay? It may still help you to do a chirp or two to slow down mid RDS at first, but the goal to really go fast is to not do a single one or just at the very end to aim for the entrance. I think this last chirp always helps, and it's not what will cost you really time. And this last chirp also helps you turn like this very sharply without doing a big circle or something. You turn without moving, and it's really useful. I think the quickest way to do broken bridge level is not to do this bounce when you hit the ground after going in RDS, but instead keep on running with the bad RDS animation where you spin, because you run faster, so you can reach the exit sooner, and also you will have more boost energy if you manage to still keep the camera angle up enough. But it's really hard, you need to do like a medium or slow chirps to keep the camera angle, and the trajectory is very hard to get right. So I am actually working on that, but so far I didn't manage to find a way to use it. So yeah, for you, please do this bounce where you jump after hitting the ground. It will make things a whole lot more easy for you.